quicker too, to be fair, since all the rain we've had, because, you know, the river reacts after the rain. But there's the start. University of London are racing Newcastle University in the Island Challenge Cup. Newcastle in the white boat on the left-hand side of your screen, and University of London in the yellow boat, the Empacher, and they are on this buck station on the right-hand side.
Yeah, it looks like a good start from Newcastle. I thought their first few strokes sort of set them out of the blocks a little bit quicker than potentially the UL crew, but as you say, it's a long race and it's all about pushing out, but it looks like they've just got the slight advantage coming into these early parts of the race. But yeah, we saw them have an incredible race yesterday, and I think probably have taken a lot of confidence from that into today, but it would have also taken a lot out of them, I would say.
Yeah, it would have taken a lot out of them, but I'll tell you, they'd be chuffed to have that inside station, because anybody, we were here in Ollie Zeidler, we said, what station would you want here, Ollie? And he said, oh, I want the grandstand side. So the crews would all choose the grandstand side, and it's Newcastle who have got that slight advantage. We think there may be a slight advantage on the far side, and they are making best use of it at the moment.
They really are, but I think over the last few days, especially in the 8th races, you have seen the lead change a few times. So we watched the race before where Shiplake was probably down by a similar amount but managed to row through the Eton crew. So I think obviously this is not the ideal situation you would want to be on early on, but you never know what's going to happen, and you don't know how much effort and intensity the Newcastle crew has put in to get themselves into this position. And now this is going to be a really important part of the race where they can actually make sure that they come onto a sustainable middle rhythm. That means they're not going to sort of get chewed up a little bit later on.
Sophie Wrightson, the Cox of the University of London crew, just 19 years of age. Really important for her to tell her crew not to lose heart. They're now, that reverse angle shot, you see the purple blades of University of London on the left of the screen. And it's really important that as the Newcastle crew comes away from the bank, that Berkshire station comes away from the bank, if there is any difference between stations, it starts to come more level, doesn't it, as the crews move out to the centre of the river. And there may even be a slight advantage for the buck station as we go close to the bank, around about 1,000 metres or the halfway mark.
Yeah, and that's when I think the coxswains play a really big part, especially in these bigger boats, of warning their crews about the different wind gusts and the different parts of the course and how that's going to affect them. And that's the advantage of having someone there that's not rowing and can focus on these things. And if you can give your crew that little bit of pre-warning, they can just brace themselves a little bit more. Like I know when I was rowing in the 8s, and if the coxswain could warn you that you're coming into a heavier part of the water or a gust was coming up, and you could relax and make sure you push into it. But it's been a good push back from UL.
You might have just seen the name of the Newcastle boat there, Lola Anderson. She is a world champion last year in the British Women's Quad. She's going for gold in Paris. She's an alumnus of Newcastle University, and I think they've named the boat after her. And Lola lives down here in Henley. I'm not sure if she still does, but she was living with another fellow Newcastle University alumnus, James Rudkin, who's in the men's 8, and I think the Newcastle University alumni stick together. So UL coming a little bit back into it, but Alex Lee's Newcastle crew looking good, looking cohesive. UL still there, so there's plenty in this race to look forward to.
Yeah, both crews are looking really good, but I've been impressed with UL in this sort of second quarter of the race. They were obviously dropped a bit out of the start, but I feel like they have pushed on to a race rhythm that it looks like it's potentially either stopped Newcastle moving out further in front, or they might actually be edging back a little bit. And we've talked about this throughout the day, the confidence and the extra burst of energy walking through a crew can give you, and it can just sort of heighten you, and you almost feel like you start to be on a travel later, and you're just like walking through seat by seat, and I know as a rower it just feels so good.
Okay, so the feeling so good should be happening to the University of London crew. You can see them gaining almost every stroke on the women from Newcastle, who had that sensationally tough race. UL will hit the front. I think in a very few moments they will have rowed through Newcastle. And Tom Gale, the coach of UL, you heard us talking about him, just before the coach of University of London, just before the start, and he has the utmost respect for Newcastle. But it's fascinating, the connections, because one of the women, the 2-seat of that Newcastle boat, Harriet Taylor, Grace, she rowed at Lady Ellen Hollis. She won the national schools, I think in 2021. Guess who coached her?
Who was it?
Tom Gale. So he went from Lady Ellen Hollis. Smithy took him up to University of London. There's so many connections between the crews at this regatta. University of London now on the left have rowed back to almost level with Newcastle University. There's nothing in the station, so there's Harriet Taylor in the 2-seat, and we can take a look at in the stroke seat. Well, we won't see her yet. There she is. It is Holly Ewald, who's just 21. She's the women's captain this year. In the bows was Tia Lehman. She rowed for Hollingworth Lake, the Lancashire club, on the reservoir up there. And at 6, Scarlett Rieska from Tideway Scullers. Her sister rowed at Durham, and of course Newcastle beat Durham yesterday. But it is a significant lead, but Newcastle won't give up hope. They had to come back on Durham yesterday. Could they do it today, Grace?
Yeah, well, I actually feel like UL was really moving quite quickly through Newcastle. But I feel like Newcastle sort of put a little bit of a stop to that. So I wonder if they're going to take confidence in their race yesterday and actually know that they can do that again today. But this is going to be a very important part, and a very important part for the Newcastle coxswain to be like, if we want to change this round, we've got to go now. You can't let them get too far in front. But I've been impressed with the response I've had from the Newcastle crew so far.
So the cox of Newcastle, the 24-year-old medic, Sasha Visvanathan, is going to be saying, you can see him there looking across at UL, that we've got the advantage coming up to this near side. It's your race now, girls, and UL need to hang on. It's about UL hanging on. I'm not sure they can move away anymore. Newcastle coming back at UL, Grace.
This has been, I think the lead's changed multiple times, and it's the race that we expected it was going to be. But Newcastle has just managed to have that second gear change and sort of take their rate up a little bit more than UL and push the line. And it looks like UL is just faltering at the last hurdle.
Newcastle University have the edge as they come up to the finish line. It is another famous, another sensational, another fantastic victory for the Star Club women from Newcastle University. Incredible. They take that race by half a length. They had to row through UL, the strong women of University of London. They break UL's hearts. It is Newcastle who will go through to tomorrow's final to face either Oxford Brookes or Cambridge University Boat Club. What a great race.
Heartbreak for the UL crew, but I'm so impressed by both crews to have this sort of confidence and belief.